Welcome to InDesign Secrets, episode 321. Hey, it's 321. I'm Anne-Marie Concepcion, and I'm here along with my co-host, David Blattner.
And remember that InDesign Secrets is the essential resource for all things InDesign.
Yep, I-9.
Brought to you by CreativePro Network.
In today's show, we're going to have some news, as usual. We're going to do a quick recap of CreativePro Week, which ended recently for us at the time of this recording. And also, which just came out, InDesign 19.5. So, InDesign CC 2024, episode 19.5. There's 3 very useful new features in it, which is wonderful.
New
Yes.
features. People.
Unbelievable. Yes.
Unbelievable. They said it couldn't be done. New features in InDesign.
And
I'm
the
excited.
obscure feature of the week is job options.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Job options. All right. Anyway, but it is very important and useful, and people don't know about it.
Yes.
Which is a perfect obscure feature.
Yes. Okay.
Also, I should mention that the sponsor for today's episode is PageProof, an online solution for proof approvals with your team and with clients. You know, they have been around for 10 years. I didn't even realize that.
I think 20 years. They've been around for a long time.
Wow. Maybe under a different name, but I thought their website said 10 years.
Great. It is the tool to look at. If you've got a team of people who need to do approval and comment and review and stuff,
and
we'll talk about it later, but it's check out pageproof.com.
Okay.
All right, news. We better talk about the news. Adobe InDesign 19.5. We'll talk more about that and some of the actual features, but that's huge. But it's also important to talk about the public beta. I think it's really interesting that Adobe is pushing these public betas. It's hard to find them inside the Creative Cloud app.
Yes.
But there are these public betas that they've been doing behind the scenes, and that's new. Well, they've been doing it for a year or so. But it's a new way of trying to get feedback that you don't have to be on pre-release. You can get a public beta. So the main thing they're working on is this whole the PDF thing. The fact that you can convert InDesign PDFs into editable InDesign documents. Still very limited, not that great, but it is there. Only works on English PDFs. Only works on PDFs that were created from InDesign. But it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Okay. What else? Other news. CreativePro Week you mentioned just ended.
Yep.
We'll talk about that as well.
But what is news is that you can, if you weren't able to make it, or even if you did, if you want to and you weren't able to make it, you can buy access to all the recordings and all the wonderful handouts, which were quite detailed,
so good.
Access them for at least a year, and then you'll have an alumni discount that you can use for the next one.
Yes,
that's a deal.
So you can get if you're a CreativePro member, you get $125 off. So you more than pay for the membership just by signing up for one of the events.
Right.
But then you become an alumni and you get a discount for every single event from then on. So I don't know, whoever did the math on this, it's a little bit too good of a deal. But but you might as well sign up to become a member and then sign up for these events, because the recordings are extraordinary. Over 70 sessions, in-depth sessions from CreativePro Week, and you get all the handouts.
And it's really nice that they have the headshots in the corner, like picture-in-picture.
Yeah, have you noticed that? Every year, our AV team gets a little bit better at doing this. So now we have the picture-in-picture. Yeah, every year it's getting better. I really love these videos. Anyway, they're all available now, and there's lots of good sessions, so check that out. CreativePro Week. Speaking of online events, InDesign and Accessibility Summit is coming up. October 8th through 11th. I know that seems like a ways away, but sign up now for the Design and Accessibility Summit. 4 days of in-depth accessibility training on InDesign, Word, PowerPoint, but especially InDesign and Acrobat. That's really the main focus. It's really quite extraordinary. Yeah, for creating accessible documents, primarily PDF documents. Also, InDesign and Marketing, Design and Marketing and Design and AI summits are coming up later this year. And
if you just go to creativepro.com/events,
yes,
you'll see them all. You'll see the ones that you can get on demand for, and the upcoming online summits happening in October, November, December. Bam, bam, bam.
Good.
Yeah, you guys
do
are
that.
Cooking on.
Listen
all
to
four
Anne-Marie.
burners.
Listen to Anne-Marie. Go to creativepro.com/events. CreativePro magazine also came out. That's the other big news. Pam Sparks, our very own Pam Sparks, our designer, wrote a wonderful article about email design. Check that out. We have all kinds of articles coming up, but we'll cover that later. I really want to go and talk more about Creative Pro Week because that's kind of where my.
But yeah. Okay, go ahead. Let's talk about Creative Pro Week.
I know this is a little bit jittery because we just got back, so all this stuff is going on in my head right now. I am. Yeah. I am on a high. It was an extraordinary event. I mean, just the camaraderie and the learning and all the information that was there, the connections that were made from people to people and people to experts and the solution providers. It was extraordinary. And I will say it was. I will admit it was sad. It was poignant because Anne-Marie, you weren't there this year. This is your first year not being there.
Yeah.
But there were over 500 people there in person and even more online. And all the connections were extraordinary. The sessions, I just got to say, we had some sessions that were just like brain-meltingly great. Bart Vandeville did a whole, what he called the InDesign tune-up, which is tips and tricks, things you need to know, just to kind of tune up your knowledge of InDesign.
I heard so many people gasping in the audience and online, because I was dialed in online for that session. They were like, oh, I've been doing everything wrong. Oh, why didn't I learn this 10 years ago? Oh, my gosh. Oh, This is going to be a game changer at work. Yes.
It was incredible. We also had some more general, evergreen type of topics, like George F. Baker on Friday morning. He opened the Friday morning with a talk about becoming a muralist. And it's like, well, what does being a muralist have to do with Creative Pro stuff? But he really just stitched it together so beautifully. This idea of going from digital to the real world, and the incredible importance of balancing the digital and real was just beautiful. And
he got such wonderful. I didn't happen to see the session, but people are like, he should be the keynote speaker next year, and that was the best session of the entire week. And it's like, whoa, I got to watch that one.
Standing ovation. It was.
He got a standing ovation?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm always a little envious when people, because I didn't get a standing ovation.
I never have gotten one of those.
But
wow.
He was
Except
really
in my stripper career, but not when I've been teaching InDesign.
He was. I mean, he was so real himself. He just showed up and he was very real himself.
That is very cool.
It makes a difference. So it was important. So there was a wide variety of sessions about InDesign.
Wait, we forgot to mention. Well, what about your keynote? You did a keynote for the first time in the history of Creative Pro. You talked about one of your passions.
Yeah.
And it is available for everybody to see on YouTube. You don't even have to sign up for the on demand. You can see it on YouTube. And it was about. What was it about? So
we talked about why we're here, but more importantly, I talked about this whole issue of. Have you heard about? Let's say it's called AI. AI is a thing. Have
Adobe Illustrator.
That? Yeah. No. The other AI. The other.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
It's a great movie. AI.
And there's the movie AI.
Yes.
Artificial intelligence. It's the whole Gen AI thing. I just needed to. It was the elephant in the room, and I felt like somebody needed to talk about how unbelievably powerful it is and how unbelievably dangerous it is, and trying to find a balance. And what I really wanted to focus on was, how are we going to survive this? How are we going to survive this onslaught of AI, which is, I believe, is inevitable. We're going to have to deal with it. So what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? And then go beyond surviving, how are we going to thrive? And I had several suggestions for how we in the design community can really thrive in the world of AI. So that was really what I wanted to talk about and open Monday morning with. So thank you for pointing out that. We'll put a link in the show notes, or you can find it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CreativePro. And it's hiding there too.
Okay.
That's great. There were a bunch of other stuff. The 3 minutes max sessions, of course, are always favorites.
That's the competition between the speakers of who has the best tip for that
Yes,
particular
yes.
software. So you had one for Photoshop, one for Illustrator, one for InDesign. Did you have one for PowerPoint?
We did. We had one for
You did?
PowerPoint too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And people were like, "Wait, what? Yeah, how did PowerPoint could do that?" So yeah, it was really amazing. The other couple, just a couple other things about the show. One was Ignite. Ignite is a session, an evening session where anybody, non-speakers, the people who are not speakers, can get on stage and do a 5-minute presentation. Anne-Marie, you've always hosted this, but this year we had Kara Plichinich host it. It was crazy fun.
Kara was an Ignite speaker, I think, like about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's how we first got to know her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
She went from speaker to program manager now, and she was hosting this year.
Yeah.
But the sessions were the talks were just amazing. Everything from very heartfelt and meaningful to hysterically funny.
Yes.
And our director of marketing, Brad Miller, decided to get on stage.
Yes.
And Brad did a great session on the future of CreativePro. And
he had all these puns.
Yes.
And, like Creative Procreate, which I won't go into in depth, but what was the one? Creative Pro Week, and then Creative Pro, what was the one about the weekend after?
There were so many fun puns. The one, my personal favorite was Creative Probiotic. Oh. And Creative Probiotic, let your gut thrive by design. It was very funny, and it got a lot of laughs.
Now, I think that the Ignite is part of the Tuesday sessions, right? So if you get the on-demand for Tuesday,
that's true.
You'll see Ignite too.
That's a good point. You can, for sure. And then the last thing, on Wednesday night, we did a thing. Every year we try and test out different things, something new and different. This year we did what we call a paper party. And Sabine Lenz, who was on this show earlier, Sabine did this. Basically, we had no idea how this would play out, but she brought lots of paper samples and talked about paper. And it was one of those things that as soon as she started, I think everybody in the room was like, we haven't talked about this for years, and this is actually really fun. And then the more she got into it, and the more people were like, oh, yeah, paper, and we're feeling the paper. There was some scented paper, scented inks.
Yes.
People loved it. It was so, again, real.
Cool.
That combination between digital and real coming together, very important. People loved it. So that was special. Anyway, good event.
Another great Creative Pro Week. And then isn't there another one coming up next year? You want to mention that?
We are. Thank you. Yeah. So June, first week of June next year, we're going to go back to Phoenix. We were in Phoenix, Arizona last year at that beautiful resort. And we're going to go back to that beautiful resort. It's on Native American land.
Right.
It's just an incredible location. We thought, let's do it again.
It's beautiful.
And we'll make it even better this year. So it's going to be great.
Good. Okay, so about PageProof, our sponsor, and then we're going to get into those 3 new features in 19.5. So PageProof.
Yes. So PageProof.
Go ahead. You talk about
I mentioned that everybody needs to. Anybody who's on a team that has to do approval and comment and review and stuff should check out PageProof, because there's a free trial, pageproof.com. Get a free trial. It's just very simple. They've really dialed it in for a simple and yet very powerful experience for moving stuff through. I wanted to say that they were at Creative Pro Week in DC, and Marcus did a session, and we have a video of that session, and we've made that public. You don't have to have any pass at all. So we'll put a link in the show notes to check out the PageProof session, and you could just get a little demo of it, get a sense of what they're doing. Really good stuff.
Their website, and you can also, I think, sign up for a 30-minute webinar to see PageProof in action. It's like an on-demand webinar kind of thing.
It's worth doing. And remember, it's not just InDesign. This is the key. It's InDesign, Photoshop, PowerPoint, Premiere, After Effects, email. If you're doing email and you've got an email that you need to send out to 5 people on your team in this particular order, and you can say what you want them to check off and so on. It's so smooth.
Very cool.
Website design. So they're doing Figma now. It's neat. Pretty neat. So yeah, check out PageProof. Really cool.
Okay. InDesign 19.5, which came out, we've been joking that every time we do a podcast, there's another dot iteration. I think last time was the only time that it hasn't happened since the beginning of the year. But now we are at 19.5, which was worth the wait, ladies and gentlemen, because there's actually fatty new features. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't save it up for, Max in October. But right now, people have been asking, why can't we have a history panel like in Photoshop? We need a history panel in InDesign. Now you've got a history panel. I mean, there have been plugins that you had to pay for that before, but this is now part and parcel of InDesign. So the history panel, you can dock it. You can make it part of your doc and your custom doc. And I've been playing with it to see what exactly does it pick up and what doesn't it pick up. Because not every single action does it pick up. Like if you type a letter, nothing happens.
Okay.
But if you type a bunch of stuff and then choose a different tool, so you're no longer in type mode, it'll say text added, and it just says text added, text added. So, and some other things like that. Some things it tracks that you're surprised that it is tracking, like object resize. Oh, okay, well that's nice. And then you can go back to previous history states, and then just what the layout looks like is what that history state recorded at that time, and you can continue from that point on. So if you completely messed up, you can go back to like halfway through, or you don't have to undo, and hope that you remember what was happening on all the pages. You can just select the history state and scroll through and see what the pages look like at that history state. And then at that history state, you could create a new InDesign file based on that history. So like make a copy of.
I love that.
And so you have both of them happening at the same time.
Yes.
So they've thought it through a bit.
Yep. No, I definitely think they've done a good job with that. There are a couple of weird things. I gotta say, there's a couple of weird things. I love that ability to just take a snapshot almost of whatever state you're at, or you go back to a state and say, I might need that, and you can save it off as a separate document. It's very fast. They've done a great job sort of making these separate new documents. But there's a couple weird things that I just have to throw out because there's always something.
Oh yes.
One is it weirds me out that you have to save the document before the history panel starts working.
That's
New
true.
documents, the undo state keeps working, but the history panel is blank until you save the document. It's a weird thing. I'm hoping they're going to change that because I often work on new untitled documents, and I'll work away for quite a while before I actually save it. So I know I'm supposed to save it, but that's just one thing. The second thing that's weird is, like you said, sometimes it's surprising what it does or doesn't capture. But the thing that makes me crazy is I'll often do something like, I need to move this object over a little bit, and I'll hit the left arrow, and I'll hit it like left, right, left. Good, that's where I want it. Well, every single one of those is saved in the history panel instead of just saying it got moved. I just want one thing. You did a bunch of moves, and here's where it is.
That's true. That's true. I saw that as well.
Yeah. So
I don't know if they're ever going to tweak this because you know how they are. They come up with a new feature. There you go. You want a history panel. You got it. And then they move on to other things. But maybe they can tweak it a bit in upcoming versions.
I hope so.
You know what I was really hoping? But I guess it's not part of the history panel. But I was really hoping for a redo command. So I really love that in Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
You add something in front of a paragraph, and then you just click in different paragraphs and say, do it again. Or in Excel or, all those places. But I would love to see a redo command. But
that is a different feature, and that it turns out to be really hard technically. But it is. If
you remembered what you last did, that's all you're saying is, the history panel is tracking what you last did.
You would think.
You would think.
I do think. Anyway, I love the history. I love that they added this. It's something we've wanted for 20 plus years, and yay, it's there. So it's a good thing for sure. The other history thing that I was hoping they were going to sneak in is the document history. I figured they've got a history panel. They should expose document history. A lot of people don't realize that InDesign is saving that document history inside what's called the component information dialog box, right? Which you get with I think it's command about InDesign or control about InDesign. And there's a whole
in the lower
history.
left-hand corner, there's a scrollable thing that says when the document was created. Was it converted from PageMaker or Quark Express? Did it ever crash and then was resurrected?
Right.
Did you ever do a save as? What version did you save it as? Yes.
Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, just all of that
would be nice.
That should be inside the history panel.
There should be two things, right? Like history tab and a document history tab.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something. Anyway, it's always something. Okay. What else did they put in 19.5?
Okay. So case change.
Oh yeah.
Case change. So this is something that people have asked for over and over, that you'd want to see case change appear as an option in Find Change, which it never did. And so they've added it, and I'm still trying to work it through because it's not in Find. It's only in Change.
Right.
Right? And so I wanted it to find me a title case. No, I can't do that. But you can type in your text, like this is the day that that will live on in infamy, and then you could change that. You can change the case.
Right.
But where can you change the case?
Well, so
it's in
the thing
change
is
format.
It's in change format. So they added it in two places. They added the change case features in two places. One is in the text tab of the Find Change dialog box, where you can find something and you can change the text, change the case of what you found.
Right.
And they also added it in the grep tab of the Find Change dialog box. So it's a very similar thing. You can search for something, and then you can change its case. Now, I need to say that the main reason you needed this feature was to make things lowercase. Because InDesign has always had a feature that you can find something and make it appear uppercase, right? Because there's formatting. Make it look uppercase. There's a style.
But they have never had sentence case or title case.
They did not. That's true. But they could. You could kind of fake it in one way or another by the first. No, I guess that's true. Sentence case, you could do that. But the main thing you could not do, the main thing we've been wanting, is make it lowercase. For example, you can. Oftentimes, you need to look for all the short words of, and, the, and so on in a title and make those lowercase. You've never been able to do that before because it's easy to make them uppercase, but there's no way to force them to be lowercase. Or find anything where there's all uppercase. Like sometimes an author might type words that are supposed to be in italic. They'll type them in all uppercase. So
or even like database publishing. Somebody has used all caps for all the product names.
Yes.
And then you're bringing it in, and you don't want the product names to be all uppercase. You want them to be title case, right?
Right.
And so you can switch that. You can do that with Find Change or with grep.
That's right. That's the main thing is when you've got things that are in uppercase that you need to force to either lowercase or title case.
Yeah. That
is a great use for this feature. So you'll search for things, like the way I would typically use this is I would go to the grep field, grep tab, and search for words that are in all uppercase, which is easy. We can put that in the show notes. I think we've got an article about that. How to find words or sentences that are in all uppercase. Right. And then you would type in a new code in the change to, and you say whatever you found, just grab everything you found, but force it into lowercase or title case. Right. Really, really easy. It's a little bit tweaky, but once you see how it's done, you'll be able to do it forever yourself. It's pretty cool. Really glad they added that in there. I was hoping that they would add this to grep styles, because I don't want to have to always do a find change. Grep styles is such a powerful way of changing formatting on the fly.
It's not
as you're typing.
Grep styles?
It's not in grep styles.
Really?
It's not. It
Ooh.
only. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was.
Technically, here's the funny thing. Behind the scenes, it's actually technically easier to make things uppercase than lowercase. And that's kind of a weird thing.
Okay.
But it's really easy for them to say, in a grep style, find such and such and make it appear uppercase, because you just apply that uppercase style to it, the formatting to it. but there's no way for them to say find stuff and make it appear lowercase. It's not a built-in thing in the font. Fonts themselves know how to make things uppercase. They don't know how to make them lowercase. So at least as far as I can tell, I'm not an ultimate font expert, but as far as I could tell, that turned out to be a bridge too far. So they had to do it in fine change.
Right. Speaking as somebody who has no clue what's happening behind the scenes, I was hoping it would be in character styles and paragraph styles. Right.
Same thing. Thank you. Yes.
Same thing. But it's not.
It's not.
It's only fine change.
It's only fine change.
Anyway, but at least it's there. So, they're paying attention to what people are asking, and it could be very useful to a lot of people. And I'm sure that people are going to build scripts and plugins around it to make it even more extensible. So.
Yep. Because we have had scripts in the past, but now it's just easier to do yourself right within the fine change dialog box. Great.
Okay, so then we have the contextual, not contextual taskbar is what I was looking at, but it is the generative fill.
Yes. This is the one that has the most. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Not generative fill. Generative expand, it's called.
Right. Well, they've rolled out generative fill as a beta, and now they've expanded generative fill to expand out stuff. And some people are like, I don't want AI in InDesign. Don't give me. That's a Photoshop feature. I don't need to select an image and fill it. Either create a new image or expand it out. I should use Photoshop for that. And I'm just gonna say I disagree. I love generative fill.
As well. Yep.
I think this is an awesome feature for InDesign because it's in InDesign that you place your image.
That's right.
And then you look at it on your layout and you're like, oh, that's where you realize, oh, I wish it were bigger. I wish it would expand to the rest of the page, or I wish it would go out to the bleed guides. That's the one right? I just need a little bit more on this image.
It does an excellent job too. And it's so funny. Of course we want it in InDesign. It's not like if you make if you set up a table, you're like, oh no, InDesign's not the place for tables. You got to use Word for that. Why would you ever want to use InDesign to create a Word thing? But of course, because you're using words all the time, and we're using pictures all the time. I'd love to see many more Photoshop features built into InDesign. Yes, right?
Yes.
But at least we have this. And I actually did a tip for that course that I have on LinkedIn Learning about how to do a generative expand to turn a portrait into a landscape. But of course, it involved bouncing into Photoshop and doing it there and then coming back to InDesign. And now we don't have to do that anymore.
Now we can just do it right in InDesign. I love that.
That's right.
I think that's great. You also in that course, I think it was probably in that movie. You were talking about how to get the image out of InDesign, which is not immediately obvious.
Right.
I don't know if you want to share that quickly here.
Yeah, I think that I just did that recently. I think in my current video is three different ways to edit a generative image. Because even if you place a regular image into InDesign and then you make the frame larger, that's how you invoke the generative expand feature. If you're like, where's generative expand? You have to make the frame bigger than the image. Right. Then you'll see it. Even if you do that to a placed regular image, it turns it into a generated image. And once again, you cannot edit that image in Photoshop. It exists in some twilight zone. Right. So it converts a normal image into a generated image. And you need to, there's a few ways, but I think the fastest way is just to select the image in the links panel, go to the links panel menu, choose embed link, then with it still selected, go to the panel menu again, choose unembed link. At the dialog, say no, you don't want to link to the original file, and then you get a chance to name it and save it. So you embed and then unembed.
It's a little kind of wacky workaround, but I thought that was brilliant. I think that's so important to be able to do.
Right. Good.
So
I like that feature. Thank you very much, developers. We appreciate it.
Yes. And one other request from the developers.
Yes.
They actually released 19.5 while we were on stage at CreativePro Week. I had no idea that 19.5 even came out the entire week. And by the end of the week, someone was saying, "Oh yeah, it's out now."
David.
Nobody told me.
Oh,
it was like, I'm busy at a conference. So please, could you do it the week before the conference or something?
Just
give
that would
us
be
some
good.
Advance notice.
Yeah, everybody on pre-release. I think it took everybody by surprise. Yeah,
it did. Anyway, it's great that there's some features.
Right? Were those them? change case, generative fill, or
Yep.
generative expand,
Yep.
and history panel. I thought there was
Well, they have another thing
something
for
else?
developers. There's some additional UXB stuff for developers.
That plugins panel or something.
Yeah, well, I can't remember actually, but yeah,
Okay.
they're continuing to build out the UXP stuff, which is still work in progress. But yay,
Yeah.
19.5.
Okay,
I've been using it for since it came out, I guess.
23 hours.
No, longer than that. And it's I'm not having any problems. Or I'm not.
Good.
I should say I'm not having any more problems than I was with 19.4. So
That's cool. Good.
I'm happy.
Good.
All right. Okay.
So let's go and talk. Let's talk about the obscure feature of the week.
Eek.
Yes. And this comes from our friend Brad, the marketing director. It is called .job options.
Yes.
So marketing director of CreativePro, you give him one chance to get on stage during Ignite, and he thinks he's Mr. InDesign. So now he's going to come up with all these cool topics and little geeky features. Thank you very much, Brad. You're more than welcome to join us.
I actually, in this case, I should clarify. Brad actually asked me a question. Where is job options? Or specifically, I've been asked to export a job options file to give to somebody. How do I do it? And I thought that's wonderfully obscure. I bet a lot of people don't know how to do that, especially from within InDesign. First, we should probably say what a job options file is, where that live, what it is.
Actually, and that's the extension. .job options.
Yes.
The longest extension known to man. And so that's the file extension, and a job option is a set of instructions for exporting to PDF. Yes?
It's basically the PDF preset. I mean, it really is just a PDF preset. You know how when you make a PDF, you have a choice of a bunch of different PDF presets.
Right.
And you can save your own PDF preset.
Right.
Well,
and
if
when you save it, it has the extension .job options.
That's it, right.
But you don't realize it.
Yeah, so some people just say, send me a job options file. Well, what they mean is all the settings for making a PDF.
Right.
So where is that?
You go to File, Adobe PDF Presets, Define.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the weird part. To me, the obvious place would be inside the Export PDF dialog box, like when you're normally making a PDF. You can save a preset there.
Yes.
But there's no way to export from there.
That would make a lot of sense.
That would. Right. But instead, you go to File, like you said.
Adobe PDF Presets.
Define. That's the weird part. Why are you... Because you're not defining, but that's the trick. That's the trick. You have to go to define.
You could. It's like variables. Go to variables. You could create a new variable there.
Yep.
Because there's a new button. So, yeah.
Yep.
But normally, like you said, when you're in the export to PDF dialog box and you're changing all the different settings for various things, I believe there is a save preset button.
Yeah, but that's how you save.
That's how you save the preset. That's not how you send it to somebody.
You can't
So
export
if you have saved your presets, you'll see them in this define dialog box along with the default ones that come with InDesign, like PDFX3:2002 and so on. But once you have it here, you can select it and then choose Save As.
Yes.
And when you choose Save As in that define dialog box, you'll see the name of your preset that you can change on the fly if you want, .job options. And that's the job options file that people want. Because, David, if you sent me a job options file for InDesign Magazine or something, or sorry, for CreativePro Magazine or something, then what I would do would be to put it on my hard drive someplace and then go to File, Adobe PDF Presets, Define, and choose Load. And that's how you import the job options file into InDesign. And I'm pretty sure you could also do that in other programs that deal with job options, right?
Yep.
So Illustrator, I assume.
Distiller. Yes. I mean, all of those. Yep. That's the way you load and you save these job options files in the same way that you'd save or load a color swatches or something else. So that's basically it. The weird part is job options lives inside define. I don't know. It seems weird to me, but
it does.
That's the obscure part.
It does. Okay.
Excellent.
That was very good. Thanks, Brad. Good one.
Yes. That was a really good one.
That is it for episode 321. Be sure to check out the show notes on our blog at creativepro.com. Just go to resources, podcasts. I love that it has podcasts as a plural. Are we planning on something that you haven't mentioned to me? It doesn't just say podcast. It says podcasts.
Well, we have 321 of this podcast.
Yeah.
But yes, in the future.
I guess so. In the future, we'll do another one.
We'll probably come up with some other ones.
Maybe we'll do, instead of Creative Pro, we'll do a Pro Creative podcast. All right. No, maybe not.
Yes.
We'll have
Creative Probiotic podcast.
Probiotic podcast.
Yes.
We'll have lots of links all over the place, and we'd love to hear what you thought of the show. Leave a comment in those show notes or start a topic on the InDesign Secrets groups on Facebook or LinkedIn. And until we meet again, this is Anne-Marie Concepcion and
David Blattner for InDesign Secrets.